A new generation of motherboards is out, X670E, X670. What does it all mean? If you're in the budget, mid-range, or high-end, which one is going to be right for your CPU? Well, today we're going to look. Hey guys, it's Chris with Tech Vibe. Today we're going to be talking about the X670 motherboards, and I'm going to be trying to give you guys some recommendations as to what I think would be a good pick for you, whether you're in the budget, mid-range, or high-end. So if you are looking to get an AM5 CPU with the new Ryzen 7000 series, I'm going to be trying to give you guys a couple of different recommendations as to what I think might be a pretty decent choice to go with. Now, before we get into it and I start giving these recommendations, there are some things you should probably know. There are a couple different models, the X670E and the X670. Now, there are some key differences between these two, so if you are shopping around and you are wanting to know what the difference is between these, I'm going to try to share it with you just kind of briefly here and give it to you. So the X670E has PCIe Gen 5. Now, what this is basically the top of the line PCIe the express lane speeds that are internally and the GPU slot and the M.2 slot for one each. Now, there's not really anything that can take advantage of these speeds currently except for the SSDs, but even with that, there's not really any advantage to be taken in gaming necessarily. So if you do have other things that you need to do for like editing or whatnot, you may be able to see some uplift performance with the PCIe 5 speeds, but for gaming it's not going to really help you. And just to kind of give you a little bit more of an example there, the new RTX 4000 series cards that are coming out with Nvidia, they are only PCIe Gen 4 speeds, so they can't even take advantage of this Gen 5. So if you are looking into future proofing here, we don't know if the next cards will have this Gen 5, but the current ones that are coming out only have Gen 4. And also to say, with future proofing, we don't even know how long that's going to go because, well, simply put, AMD may not be using the AM5 slot for as many generations as they did with the AM4. So just kind of keep that in mind. Now, speaking about the X670, we are only going to be looking at PCIe Gen 4 speeds. Now, this is currently what you'll see mostly with the X570, which is honestly just fine. There's not really anything that you're going to be missing out here. If you get the Gen 4 speeds, works great, does just fine. Okay, starting off with our budget boards here, we have the ASRock X670E. Now, one thing that I do want to say off the rip with these things is with the X570 motherboards, you are going to get standard coming with a USB-C port on the motherboard. So in the past, this is kind of something, it was kind of hit or miss with the X570s. Some manufacturers didn't carry it, some did. Kind of an annoying thing, but with the X670s, all of them are going to have the USB-C on the front panel connector that some of you may have, may not, but I do have actually a couple of my boards that I've gone through that have not had it, and it's honestly pretty annoying because I prefer to have that. But for the X670, they all come standard with it. Now, another thing that I do like about this budget board here is all of the connectivities. I am big on having a lot of USB ports on my motherboards, so it's good to see that they have that here. Not necessarily all of them are going to be fast speeds here. You got a couple of regular ones, the 2.0s here, and that's okay. Still, it's good to have a lot of connectivity, especially if you're doing any sort of kind of gaming or cool streaming setups or anything like that. A lot of connectivity is pretty good to have. Now, keep in mind, this is not a cheap board, even though this is in our budget range. All of the X670s and 670Es are going to be fairly expensive, and they only go up from here. So just kind of keep that in mind if you are thinking about switching to the new socket. it's not a cheap switch. All of these motherboards are going to be fairly expensive. Still in the budget area, but taking another step up, we have the ASRock X670E Pro, and this one does have an additional M.2 slot for those of you that may need multiple M.2 slots. I myself like to have at least 3 on my motherboard. But this one is a little bit more aesthetically pleasing and does have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, where just a little bit step up from that, but it is still gonna be a pretty expensive board, and that's gonna be true throughout all of this with the X670 model. Now, if you're one of the people that don't actually need an X670E, I would probably give a look at the Gigabyte X670 Aorus Elite AX model. Now, the reason why I would check this one out is because I am a big fan of connectivity, like I've mentioned before, and you're going to get 4 M.2 slots with this one here. Now, it is an X670, so you won't get both of the PCIe 5.0s in the GPU slot and the M.2 slot. It's only going to be one or the other, so keep that in mind, but you are still able to take advantage of it in the future if you feel like you have to. And M.2 4, that's a great thing. I like to have a lot of options there. I seem like I could never have enough storage on my PC no matter what I do, so this is great to see. I think this is a fantastic budget option, even though this is also the most expensive out of them all. Now, getting on to our mid-range recommendations, we have the ASRock X670E Steel Legend. Now, this is going to be considered more mid-range because it does come with better sound quality for the analog. Now, if you aren't sure what that means, basically if you're using a 3.5mm jack, this is where you would plug in down here. This would allow you to have better sound quality from the AL 1220 standard there, but it does also come with a better connectivity as well. This has a lot of USB options, which I'm a big fan of. A lot of 2.0 slots for all of your keyboard and mice, whatever you're using. I like to see that. I'm a big fan of that, so good to see there. And you know, if you do have a white build, this would probably look pretty good in it. Now, if you don't have a white setup and you aren't really too big on the aesthetics of this, I would probably give the Asus TUF a look at. Also, an E model comes with just as many bells and whistles, and also has 4 M.2 slots, which is also good to see. Now, it doesn't have as much connectivity, it's not as many USB ports here, but still a good amount. So this is always good here. Straight black, 4 M.2s. This is a good one as well, so definitely keep in mind, TUF's a good model. I'm a big fan of the Asus. Now, getting into the more high-end recommendations, I don't really want to put these out there because honestly the upside to these is really not there to justify the cost. Now, they do look a lot better than the other motherboards that we have, but as far as features, there's not much that separates them. A few of these may have an extra USB 4 port on it, and you know, the aesthetics, the looking better, that's really the upside there, and it's just not justifying the cost. And you know, I think this is probably one of the more cleaner ones, ASRock Tachi. I think this one looks really good, but is it worth it? I'll let you be the one to decide that. It's your money to do so. I am also a fan of the Aorus Master. As far as aesthetics goes, looks pretty great. The connectivity, not necessarily there, but hey guys, you know, it's your money. So there you have it. There's going to be my suggestion for the X670. Now, keep in mind, if you are trying to save a little bit of money, we could see a little bit of price reductions coming with the B650s that are not yet out. Not 100% sure where those prices will go, but you know, you could see a little bit of price fluctuation. So if you are trying to save a little bit of money, trying to penny pinch a little bit, I definitely understand with these prices. So just keep that in mind. And if you are one of the people that are kind of like me and you just want the best looking out there, you know, hey, I've got a used to be $400 or $500 motherboard myself, so I understand you want the ones that look good. So guys, hey, that's all I got for you today. Got any other questions? Feel free, drop me a comment. I'll do the best I can to answer it. Yeah, we'll see ya.